your question in just a moment. I will tell everyone. Okay, we are live. It is so good to have you all back for another week of cooking together. I'm very excited. I see that Roxy already has a question. What is your question, Roxy?
It's actually a comment. I'm gonna have the apple cake that we're making for dessert.
That sounds great. I think I'm gonna do that too. I think apple cake, as delicious as it is, might not necessarily be at dinner. So it might be better for dessert. But I guess you could really eat it for any meal you want. Okay, my friend, yes, Eli, you have your hand up.
We were wondering, is there a mistake where it says 1 cup unsalted butter?
No, it is a full cup of butter or oil. I know it sounds like a lot, but it's what makes it really good. Okay. Joseph, you have a question.
Yeah, wait, Alana?
I actually have a comment.
1 second, Joseph.
When it's done, when it's done, I'm baking.
The reason why we're asking,
I'm
just continuing that question for a second, hon. Hold on 1 sec. Is if you read the recipe.
Yeah, so in terms of ounces, there's 4 ounces in a stick, even though it's 8 tablespoons. So 8 ounces is 2 sticks of butter.
Okay. Does the recipe?
So the full 2 sticks in the.
Because the recipe is calling for a cup, and then the ingredient list is calling for a cup, and the recipe is speaking in ounces, and so it is really.
Yeah, it is very. It doesn't line up, but yes, it is a cup. I'll refer to it as a cup or 2 sticks.
Okay.
From here on out. Joseph, before we get started, you have our last comment, and then I'm going to jump in.
Right when I'm done making it, I'm going to take a large bite out of it.
That sounds really good. I would bake it first, but other than that, that sounds delicious. Okay. So, friends, we are going to get started. I hope that you have washed your hands. If you have not washed your hands yet, you should run and do that real quick. I've already washed mine, so I could continue talking to you. And as a couple people are washing their hands, we'll do a quick ingredient roll call. And then we will jump in to making our apple cake, or as our lovely cookbook, where I got this from, by Joan Nathan, calls it an apple cushion. Okay, so we are going to start with not the ingredients, but the supplies. So you need a pan. I'm using a springform pan. If you have one of those, amazing. Another pan will work. Mine is a 9-inch pan. Beautiful. You need something to mix in. So if you have one, I will be using an electric mixer. If you have one, amazing. If not, you can do it by hand. And with your electric mixer, you want to use the paddle attachment, if possible. And otherwise,
paddle attachment.
Good old mixing spoon will be great. Yes, Joseph, that looks great. All right, what else do we have? If you have a rubber spatula, that will be very helpful. I have mine right here. We will be needing a knife, which I forgot to bring over here, but I will grab it momentarily to cut our apples, which Rachel asked about, and I will explain how we will be cutting our apples shortly. We will also be peeling our apples, and I know I forgot to put that on the, peeler, that was the next thing on the list. I see a question. If you have a 9-inch circular pan for a cake, that's perfect. Or any 9-inch pan, even if it's a square, it's all gonna taste delicious. I think if your pan is a different size than that, that's just gonna affect how long you bake it for. Yes, Roxy?
So do you only need a peeler if you don't have your apples pre-peeled?
Correct. My apples are not pre-peeled, but it sounds like yours might be, so you do not need a peeler.
Okay.
Okay, and finally, you need something to cut those apples on. So I have my cutting board right here. And let's see if people have cutting boards. Hopefully you have somewhere to cut on, because I wouldn't want you to cut holes in your table. That would be bad. And finally, we just need some good old measuring spoons and measuring cups, our old friends that we use for all of our recipes. All right, I hope that we are all together so far. We are now going to do a quick ingredient roll call and then we'll get started. So we need 1 cup of butter, which is 2 sticks of butter, and they should be a little bit soft, a little bit softer if you're mixing by hand, but just a little bit soft if you're putting them in the mixer. So I took mine out of the freezer and put it in the microwave for about 45 seconds. That should do it. You need 1 1/3 cups of sugar plus an extra tablespoon of sugar. Do people have their sugar? I'll show you the lid of my sugar because my actual sugar is very heavy. Okay, we are going to need salt. Do people have their salt? I see some people have their salt. Okay, we are going to need 2 eggs. Let's see your 2 eggs. Amazing. I see a few people have them. We need, what was the next thing on the list? We need flour. We will be needing baking powder. Awesome. And 4 apples that we will deal with shortly. Ginger and cinnamon. I have mine right here. I don't have fresh ginger, but I have powdered ginger, and I will tell you how to use that if you have that instead. Okay. Says in the recipe, oh, good catch. Thank you. Yes, I was misreading that, but Miriam made a good catch about not an extra tablespoon of sugar, an extra teaspoon of sugar. Amazing. And I see we have some people here to watch, which is great. You are completely welcome to watch, even if you're not baking with us today. I'm glad that you're here nonetheless. Okay, we are going to get started. First, we are going to deal with our apples. So what needs to happen with our apples is we need to peel them, and then we need to cut them into slices. So each apple, we're gonna cut it into 8 slices. And that's what we're gonna use on the top of our cake. So I am over here peeling my apples. And in the meantime, I am wondering if anyone can tell me, when you're thinking about apples or even apple cake, what Jewish holiday does that make you think about? Anyone have any ideas? Natan, what is your idea? Rosh Hashanah? Is that what you said? Yes, that's what I was thinking about too. And can someone tell me what is Rosh Hashanah? What are we celebrating on Rosh Hashanah? Roxy.
Jewish New Year.
Yes, we are celebrating the start of the Jewish New Year. And Rosh Hashanah is kind of the next big happy holiday that comes up in the Jewish calendar. We do have in about 10 days, we have Tisha B'Av, which is a fast day, and it's a very sad day on the Jewish calendar because we are remembering the destruction of the temple and the Holocaust and all really sad things that happen in Jewish history. But I know, boo, right? Not such great things. But Rosh Hashanah is like the next big happy holiday that comes up in the calendar. So I'm already getting excited, which is why we are making, yes, thumbs up. I love that, Roxy. I love the happy and sad. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Amazing. So I am already getting ready for Rosh Hashanah, even though it's really still kind of far away. But I like to look forward to happy things, and I'm excited about happy Rosh Hashanah. So I am wondering if anyone here wants to tell us about a special food that they make in their family for Rosh Hashanah. Does anyone have a special food that they eat on Rosh Hashanah?
Honey cake.
Natan.
Honey cake.
Honey cake. Oh, that sounds so good. I bet it would go really well if you decided to also make the apple cake. I bet those two would go really well together, but I don't know that you need 2 whole cakes. That's a lot of cake. Does anyone else have a special food that they eat? Yes, Roxy.
And just dip apples in honey.
Yes, the classic. I love that. Apples and honey are so, so good. Amazing. Who's that? Rachel.
We do kugel.
What kind of kugel? Tell us about your kugel. Is there pasta involved? Is it
Pasta and fruit and
yum? Is it like cheesy or sounds like a sweet kugel for sure?
sweet.
Yum. That sounds great. I love that. Yes, Miriam, I saw your comment in the chat. We are going to I'll pause my peeling for a second to slice some apples for those of you who are already ready to move on to slicing. So I will make my computer screen show my apples. I need to go grab my knife because I didn't grab it during the roll call. Okay, so what I'm going to do, the way that I like to chop an apple is I like to chop the whole thing in half down the middle. I can't even, oh yeah, there I am. Okay, and then each half I cut in half so that I have 4 pieces. And when I have 4 pieces, I do this really carefully. You might want to ask a grown-up for help. Is that I cut out the core so that we don't get any seeds in our apple cake. And then I'm going to cut that quarter into half. So we want 8 slices out of each apple. Okay. So as we continue cutting our apples, I would love to hear if anyone else has a special food that they eat on Rosh Hashanah. And maybe Allie, if you can call, if there's anyone who raises their hand, if you can call on them, because I am looking at my knife, not at the computer. Is there anyone who wants to share? Okay,
Yes, Ariella.
Oh, great,
Go ahead
Ariella.
and share.
Round challah.
Round challahs, yes. This year, for the first time, I actually learned how to braid a challah for it to be round, which was pretty cool. It's kind of tricky, but maybe I'll do a special Ramah Galim cooking Rosh Hashanah version for round challahs.
Because
I also, what, do you like raisins in your challah, Ariella?
it's the world's birthday. The
Yeah.
Jewish world.
That's true. It's the world's birthday, so we remember things that are round. And the other thing about it being round is that we like to sometimes think that the year is round, which sounds silly, but because we circle back to everything throughout the year, and every year has all of the same holidays, we like to think of it in a circle. All right, Ariella, you were going to tell us what type of challah you like.
So with my round challah, I like raisins. Sometimes I like chocolate chips.
Ooh, nice. That sounds really good. Raisins and chocolate chips. That sounds awesome. Okay, I am nearly done cutting I've done 2 apples, but I'm gonna pause after 2 and move on to the batter. And if we need to cut up more after, then we can totally do that. Okay, but I don't wanna make anyone else wait, and I wanna make sure that we learn how to do everything else, because the apples, we're basically just using them at the very end. So we will continue our discussion about Rosh Hashanah in a moment. In the meantime, we are going to start making the batter. I'm going to rinse my hands because they're feeling sticky. Okay. So we are going to begin the making of the batter. In the bowl that goes alongside with the mixer, we are going to put in the butter. Oh wait, first we can, we should grease the pan that we're gonna be using. So you can use a little bit of butter or a little bit of oil, whichever one you choose. Roxy, I saw that you have your hand up, so maybe while we are greasing our pan, you can tell us or ask
So, can you also just use a wooden spoon with a bowl for mixing the batter?
Absolutely. You might have to use a little bit of extra arm strength, but you can totally do that. That'll work.
Okay.
In fact, I think I saw that there are other people doing that as well. Okay, I am greasing the bottom of my pan. And you should do the sides too, because you don't want your cake to stick to the sides either. I'm gonna do that quickly, and then we will get started making the batter like I said we would a moment ago. Okay. Pan is greased. Are your pans greased? Amazing. Okay. Can I see some thumbs up that people are with me? I see some people are. Hopefully everyone else will catch up with us soon. Okay, we can put our greased pan aside. I'll use my fingers to grease mine, so I'm washing them off again. And we are for real this time going to start making the batter. So we are going to start by putting in our 1 cup of butter, which is 2 sticks. And I know it's a lot, but it'll make it tasty. So put in your 2 sticks of butter. I am going to shift my video so that you can see both my face and maybe my mixing bowl, or at least my hands. Okay, so we are putting in our 2 sticks of butter. Some of mine, when I microwaved it a little bit, fell out onto the bottom of my bowl. So I'm going to get that part too.
Alana, it looks like Ariella has a question.
Amazing. Ariella, ask away.
Can I see the apples you cut?
Yes, you may. I cut them into little slices like this. So each apple is cut into 8 little slices.
Like this?
Yes, that looks amazing. Awesome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, amazing. And Allie is putting in the chat as we add ingredients. She's putting in what we are putting in. So we put in our butter. We now are going to put in 1 1/3 cups of sugar. So 1 plus 1/3 cups of sugar. We are going to put that in. In the meantime, as we gather our sugar, I can tell you about what we eat in my family on Rosh Hashanah. And I admit it's a little bit silly, so don't laugh at me too much. But we eat this, we make, it's like sort of like a pie, and it's really delicious. It has spinach and cheese and sweet potatoes, and we make that all into a pie. And one year, my uncle decided that we needed to give our pie a name, that we couldn't just call it a pie, and we had to give it a name. And so we decided to call our pie Bob. And now everyone at our synagogue knows that specific pie is called Bob, and we eat it every Rosh Hashanah in my family. And it's really delicious. Maybe that can also be on my Rosh Hashanah cooking session. Yes, Roxy?
What are we adding in right now?
We are adding in 1 1/3 cups of sugar.
Okay.
Okay? And we will move
Wait,
to
1 cup and 1/3 cup?
yes.
Okay.
So 1 1/3 cups of sugar. Miriam, yes, I don't have the recipe for Bob off the top of my head, but maybe I'll do my best to remember to bring it for next week. Thanks for asking. Okay, now we also need to put in the salt, and then we are going to put this on mix for a little bit. So we are putting in, let's see how much salt. We are putting in 1/8 of a teaspoon. That's a really tiny amount. I don't even know if I have 1/8 of a teaspoon size, so I'm just gonna guess about 1/2 quarter of a teaspoon. But basically it means just a little bit.
Alana, another question in the chat. Do we need the apple peels?
We do not need the apple peel. You can get rid of that however your family gets rid of apple peels. In my house, we compost them, but I know that not everyone is able to.
We just
They,
eat them.
they give them
They're
to me.
good.
I eat them.
You eat them? Even better than composting. I love that. Well, if anyone else wants to try eating their apple peels, they are welcome to do so. Okay, so we have put in our butter, our sugar, and our little bit of salt, and we are going to mix this up. So make sure, if you're using an electric mixer, make sure that it's plugged in, because then that'll work much better when you turn it on. Hopefully this isn't too loud and you can still hear me. If you are mixing by hand, you'll want to do a lot of mixing because it takes a little bit more strength to do it by hand, but I have faith in you. And we will give this maybe another 30 seconds, and then we will add our next ingredients. So, in just a moment, we are going to add our eggs into here. I'm going to turn mine off. We are going to add in our eggs. And as we crack our eggs, does anyone have any questions thus far? Not that I'm seeing, but if you do have a question, feel free to speak up or write it in the chat and Allie will let me know. She is so helpful and so good at reading the chat.
Okay, we have a question. How small should the apple slices be?
So I cut my apples into 8 pieces. I think, so we're gonna be putting them on the top of the cake. So when we start placing them, you can also decide if you think that those are too big, you can cut them smaller once we get there. So mine, let's see, this is how thick mine are. I guess it'll just depend on how big your apple is. Mine were like medium big, and so they were not super thin. Okay, with my eggs, I am turning my mixer back on, and we want it to get so that the batter is smooth. And if you're mixing away, you are rocking it. All right, and a heads up of what's coming next. We are going to use our spatula to add in the flour and baking soda. So I think we're using the spatula so that it doesn't like poof all over the place. So we'll mix it in a tiny bit and then we'll turn the mixer back on, I believe. Yeah, okay. Oh, actually, no, I don't think we'll be turning the mixer back on after that. Yes, Roxy, what is your question?
So are you supposed to add 1 cup of butter or oil, the sugar and a pinch of salt? And then what are you supposed to do?
Before everyone adds this, it's baking powder. It's baking powder.
Oh, thank you for that catch. Okay, so so once you add those 3 things, Roxy, you're gonna mix them together, and then yes, okay, wait, let me just see where we are. Once you've added the butter, the sugar, and the salt, you'll mix that up. Then you're gonna add your 2 eggs, mix that up, and then in just a moment, we're gonna add flour and baking powder. Okay, so I'm going to actually, because I think we're just—
Wait, you mix it up and then what?
And then in just a second, once you've mixed all those things up, we're gonna add the flour and the baking powder.
Okay, I already mixed it up though.
Okay, so that's what, you're right where I am. I'm about to get to the baking powder. So I am and the flour. So I am just cleaning off the paddle of my mixer so that I make sure that I don't lose any of this delicious batter. And with just the spatula, I'm going to be mixing in the flour little by little and then the baking powder. So we are using 2 cups of flour, which we're gonna gently fold in is what it says, which means that we're just gonna do it, I think, a little bit by a little bit. So you should measure out your cups of flour and then you'll sprinkle them in and mix as you go. I hope I have enough flour here. If not, I might need to run to the other side of my kitchen to get more. Okay, so I'm measuring out my first cup. And I'm going to, little by little, start to mix it in. And in the meantime, I was thinking that because we were discussing Rosh Hashanah, and Rosh Hashanah is all about starting a new year, I was thinking it might be appropriate to think about new things that we have tried or done. Also, because tonight is the start of Rosh Chodesh. I'm going to pause. If it's too dry, then I think a little bit, either a little bit of water or maybe a little bit of oil could work well. Rachel, so tonight is Rosh Chodesh, which is the beginning of a new month. We are starting the month of Av tonight. And with that, and the fact that we're talking about Rosh Hashanah and apples and honey and all those delicious things, I was hoping that someone might want to share with us, or a few people might want to share with us, something new that they've tried in the past few weeks. Has anyone tried anything new in the past few weeks, or even longer than that?
Making our own hot dog buns.
Okay, can you tell us about that? You made hot dog buns?
Well, we helped make them. We helped make them.
How do you make a hot dog bun?
I'm not entirely sure of the specifics of the recipe. We just read the recipe and put the ingredients together.
And then does it have to rise? How do you get it to be the right shape?
Well, it has to rise, except it's not always the perfect shape because we're doing it by hand, but that doesn't really matter.
That's true, as long as it's delicious.
Hot dogs for my birthday, so
We also did it for 4th of July. Really.
That is awesome. Wow. I personally eat veggie dogs instead of hot dogs, but that sounds like a really fun thing to do in order to make
one thing we're never going to buy from a store again.
Yeah, wow, that's great. I love that you tried a new baking thing that is going to get you to eat new things. Well, same things in a new way. That's awesome. What are some other new things that people have tried recently? Anyone else want to share a new thing that they've tried? Yes, Ariella.
Reading chapter books. Turns out very easy.
Very easy?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Wait,
I'm
that's so exciting.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
can I?
1 second, I'll get to you in just a second, but I want to hear, Ariella, what chapter books have you read so far?
I'm finishing Matilda.
Such a great book.
And my dad got me this book. It's called True Life, and it has Judaism involved.
That is so cool. Amazing. Oh, I'm so excited for you. And that is such a great book. Awesome. All right. Joseph, what is your new thing? And by the way, I am still mixing in my flour. It takes a little bit longer when you're doing it by hand. But I hope that you are all staying with me. And we will get to the next step soon. Okay, Joseph. Maybe. Does anyone else have a new thing that they've tried recently that they want to share with us? Anyone? No?
I've been helping my mom cook.
That's awesome. I love that. What's your thing that you've made, Natan?
I like to make pancakes.
Yum. Me too. Pancakes are the best. That sounds so great. I love that you're helping her cook.
Friday, we're gonna celebrate my birthday.
Yeah, you're gonna eat pancakes on your birthday?
Maybe. I'm turning 19.
You're turning 19? That's a great age to be. And 19, and all other ages are a great age to eat pancakes, I think, and to cook. All great things. Amazing. Okay, I am getting close to being done with my mixing. My arm is very, very tired. I don't know about yours.
I have another one.
You have another new thing that you've tried? Let's hear it, Eli.
Reading The Far Side.
The Far Side. Will you tell it? I'm assuming that's a book, but I don't know anything about it.
No, it's a comic strip.
Oh, a comic series. Amazing.
No,
What's it
The
about?
Far Side, as in the one-panel comic by
Oh.
Garrett Larson.
Nice. Will you tell us a little bit more about it for those of us who don't know?
It's kind of hard to explain because I don't understand some of them.
That's fair. That makes sense. Okay, but are there like some characters that you can tell us about? Maybe?
Talking cows. That's pretty much the most
cows.
character that actually gets named.
That's awesome.
Talking
Okay.
cows.
I am going to be adding in my baking powder right now. I'm adding in 2 teaspoons of baking powder. I hope that you might be as well. And Allie is typing it in the chat, I'm sure.
We went to Lassen Volcanic National Park.
What? Wait, can you say the name of it again? I don't know if I've heard of it.
Lassen Volcanic National Park.
That sounds so cool. What did you do while you were there?
Hiked a marathon in 3 days. So yeah.
Seriously? That is so much hiking. Did you then like sleep for 3 whole days after that?
No.
What did you do? Really?
We saw 2 black bears.
What? That is so cool. Wow, that sounds amazing. Have you seen black bears before?
They were cinnamon colored or like blonde colored. So never seen that kind.
Okay. Cool. That sounds incredible. Wow. That is a great new thing to try.
We saw a deer and her doe too.
What?
We saw a deer and her doe.
Oh, that sounds so great. What
And we
great.
saw really small chipmunks.
Cute.
And date
Wow.
night.
That sounds like a really amazing trip.
And we saw mud bats.
What?
That's the thing there. So yeah. Yeah, and it smells really bad because it smells like sulfur.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, I'm going to show you, I don't know if you can see super well, but my batter, I saw that there were some comments about what the batter looks like. Mine, like, if I shake it around, it's not moving so much. It's a pretty dense, like, it's a pretty thick batter. But I think that that's good because it'll hold our apples nicely. So our final thing with the batter, I believe it's our final thing, is that we are going to measure out about a cup of our apples that we've used so far. And for this cup, we might want to cut them up a tiny bit smaller. We are going to mix 1 cup of apples into the batter, and then the rest of them are going to go on top. I'm like sort of in the dark, sort of in the light right over here. The rest of them are going to go on top. So I am going to cut up a few of my apples into smaller slices and measure out a cup of them. You may do the same. My dog has come to find out what's going on because she's a little jealous about the fact that we get to make apple cake, which I understand. I would be jealous if someone else was making apple cake. Okay, I have measured out about a cup of my apples. I'm going to put them in my batter and mix them up. Okay, I am mixing this up with my apples, and in just a moment, we are going to put this into our pan. I'm very excited. We are getting close to the finish. I know that we have gone over time, but it's hard to cook something really exciting in a half an hour, which is why we end up spending a little extra time, but I hope you all don't mind. I definitely enjoy it. I see a hand from Roxy. What's up?
How much baking powder are you supposed to add in?
Baking powder was, let me just double check before I tell you the wrong thing, 2 teaspoons.
Okay.
Okay, and if you have added in all the things for your batter, including your apples, you can start transferring it into your pan. That is what I'm doing at the moment. It looks really, really good. I don't know about yours, but mine looks delicious. And considering we've done pretty much the same thing up until now, I'm guessing yours looks delicious too. And another thing about this recipe is that if you really like it, you can also make this same recipe with different types of fruit. So the same recipe, if there's really good peaches in season, which around here in Massachusetts, we've had some really yummy peaches lately. I don't know if they're from Massachusetts or if they came from somewhere else, but we've been eating really yummy peaches recently. And those will work just as well in this concoction, in this cake that we're making here. So I am trying to get as much batter out of my bowl and into my pan as possible. How are people doing? Are they in the same place as I am? Are they behind me, ahead of me somehow? Yes, Roxy.
So I added in everything up to the apples. So, and then we're adding it into the pan, right?
So you're gonna put a cup of the apples and mix it into the batter, and then the extra apples you're gonna put on top of it in the pan. Does that make sense? Okay.
Okay, but not. Oh, there are a lot of extra apples.
Yeah. So I think
Like a lot.
a lot. Well, if it gets too crowded on the top of your pan, you can always eat some of the extra apple slices if you cut too much.
Good idea.
Yeah, always makes for a good snack. Okay, how's everyone else doing? Does anyone have any questions?
I think we're ahead of you. We're currently preheating our oven.
Oh, great. Okay, so 1 second, friends. I keep having to rinse off my fingers. So the oven should be heated to 350 degrees. Allie, I'm remembering that last week the recipe was on Facebook. I don't know if this one was as well. No? Okay. So I will, before we sign off, I'll send out the recipe in the chat so that you have all the details for baking, but it's going to be at 350 degrees for about 50 minutes. But I'll tell you that again in a little bit. Okay, so now, if you have another bowl, we are going to toss our extra apples in a little bit of cinnamon, and I'm moving my cake out of the way. We're tossing our extra apples in a little of cinnamon. So when I say a little bit, I mean 1 teaspoon of grated ginger and a half a teaspoon of ground cinnamon. And because I don't have fresh ginger, I'm going to be just using a pinch of the, what's it called? Ground ginger, which is the equivalent. And we are going to put our apples into that and toss them around so that they get a little bit coated. And then after that, we're going to lay them out on the top of our cake. So let me put my apples in a bowl so that they're ready to be tossed. I need to actually finish up my last apple that I didn't yet cut. And in the meantime, is there anyone else who wanted to share something new they've tried recently or something new they want to try soon? And if you've already shared, you're always welcome to share another thing. Yes, Marguerite.
I did tie-dye.
You did tie-dye?
A dress and a shirt.
That sounds amazing. What colors did you use?
Blues, pinks, purples.
I love that. That is a great combination. I think I have like 4 tie-dyed shirts in those colors because those are some of my favorite colors to use for tie-dye. And that is so fun. I'm so glad you tried that. I also really love the background that you have back there. Are those jellyfish? Yes. Amazing. I love that. Roxy, do you want to share with us something else you tried or something?
Well, I'm just saying, what about the eggs?
The eggs we put in the eggs right after, or you can put them in now, but the 2 eggs went in after or before the flour. But it should work perfectly fine to mix them in if you haven't yet already.
Yeah, but I just put the apples into the pan.
Oh, you put your cake in the pan without the eggs yet?
Yeah.
So you might want to put it back. I know it's going to be a little extra work, but you might want to put it back in the bowl so you can mix in the eggs because the eggs are going to be pretty important. What if
I mix it in the pan?
You can try and do that. What I would do is actually put the eggs in a separate bowl and mix those up first, and then mix that into the rest of your cake. Okay. I see Haley's hand is up.
I had chunky peanut butter for the first time.
Oh, that's a great one. I personally love chunky peanut butter. I think it is so delicious. That's a great new thing to try. If you can eat peanut butter. I know that not everyone can. Okay, friends, I loved hearing about all the new things that you're trying. I am going to try a new thing by decorating my cake here. So I have my cake in the pan, or I have my batter in the pan. And I'm going to do this for whoever's ready. And if you're not ready yet, then you will catch up later. Oh my goodness. Alana, that is beautiful. Oh, wow. I don't even know how I'm going to make mine that pretty. Oh, I realized I haven't put in my little bit of ginger and my cinnamon yet. So I need to do that real quick and toss these up. Okay, so I am going to just toss these around a tiny bit. Alana has set a very high standard for us because hers is really, really gorgeous. Ooh, smells like cinnamon in my kitchen now. Okay, so basically what you're doing is putting in circles these apple slices. And I'm realizing that mine, because my apple was big, these slices might be a little too thick. So I'm going to adapt and cut them in half. And I'm going to lay them out in little circles around my pan. And you can decorate this. Basically, you just want to put apples around the top of your cake. You can kind of make it into whatever decoration feels right for you in this moment. That might look different for different people. The recipe calls for circles, but we do not expect anyone to go exactly with what is expected of them. I think that being creative is wonderful, and you should be as creative as you want to be. So I am actually making circles, but if you want to make a different shape, you are more than welcome to. Let's see. Oh, that looks so nice, Bella. Wow. Okay, in a minute, when I catch up, we are going to all show, while anyone who's ready can show what their cake looks like. Maybe we'll snap a picture of us because we love getting some nice pictures. And maybe, I think Allie put in the chat already. Yeah, it's there. But just another reminder that when you bake this, you're baking it at 300. Oh, Alana already put hers in the oven. Totally fine. If you are not ready yet or already put yours in the oven, then you can just smile. For anyone who needs a reminder, this is going to bake at 350 degrees for about 50 minutes. But the way that you'll know it's done is you can stick a toothpick or a fork just very lightly into the top. And if it comes out and it's not all gooey with batter, then that means that it's done. So I am just squeezing in my last few apples here. And mine is done. Can I see, are other people feeling done with theirs? For those of you who have finished,
Okay, we want to show ours.
what?
We need to show ours.
Okay, let's see it.
Okay, this took a little bit. I know, I'm gonna. Anyway,
Oh my God, that is so pretty.
breaking
Okay,
it.
if you have yours ready, why don't you hold it up and smile?
Oh, hold it up.
And maybe Allie will be our photographer for a second, if she wouldn't mind. So if you have one, if not, maybe just smile with a thumbs up.
All right, everybody show me your cake if you have it, or if not, let's see some big, big smiles. 1, 2, 3. Good job.
Thanks, Allie.
Awesome.
Amazing. Okay, my friends, this was so, so fun. Thank you for staying with me for a little bit of extra time. I am so excited for our final week. We are going to be making mandelbread, which is a type of cookie.
Stacking them up.
And you should already have the ingredients in your emails or in your parents' emails or whoever it is that got the email about all of this. And I'm very excited to see you for one final cooking this month, next week. It has been so, so fun to be cooking with you. And I hope that you enjoy your cakes. And happy birthday to Natan. And is it already happy belated birthday to Haley? I think it is. Happy belated birthday to Haley. And Roxy, you have a final question.
My batter is, I already made the appropriate amount, but my pan is too big for my batter.
So you can spread it out a little bit thinner, and I think you'll just have to cook it for a little bit of extra time. Okay? All right, my friends, I am going to sign us off for today. It was so wonderful to see you all.
Wow.
I can't wait to see you next week. Bye.
Bye.